Hello YouTube, it is your boy Dave coming back from another video, and today we're going to be doing a few quick reviews, because I wanted to talk about these games, but let's try doing them as quickly as possible, okay? Okay, let's do it. Okay, first we got Capcom vs. Marvel Infinite. What I've got to say about it, it's a good example of what not to do. For me, I wanted to enjoy it. I think the gameplay is kind of just okay. It's nothing fantastic. I feel like Capcom really dropped the ball with it. And for me, Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite is just kind of okay. There's nothing fantastic about it. There's nothing that makes me go like, wow, this is an incredible game. It's just there. And that's the saddest thing you can say about any video game. It's just there. It's middle of the road. It's average. It's basic. There's nothing incredible about it. It's not bad enough to be worth my time as being a bad game. It's not good enough to be considered one of the best. It's just average, and for me, just in its averageness, and just the fact that it kind of killed Capcom, or not Capcom, Marvel versus Capcom. It destroyed me to a certain extent, you know? We don't hear anything about any new Marvel versus Capcom games. I mean, shit, it's been fucking years since, it's been at least a good few years since I think even Evo really touched this game, so yeah. I mean, really, in my opinion, the last real, worthwhile fighting game that had the similar enough mechanics to, Marvel vs. Capcom would be something like Dragon Ball Fighter Z, actually, or that one Power Rangers game, actually. Those feel more like the mechanics that should have been in Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite and just weren't. You know, I feel like in many ways Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite felt more like a step backwards. Like, it didn't do the crazy shit like 2 or even the mechanics of 3. No, it felt like 1. It's a game that, in my opinion, I look at, and I own the Steelbook, but I bought it for cheap because the actual regular version was somehow more expensive. Go figure. Is it a bad game? No. But I think music-wise, gameplay-wise, and story-wise, which the fact that there's a fucking story in this game is ridiculous, but generally speaking, it's just on an aesthetic level, a gameplay level, and just overall, it's just not interesting. It's just not really anything that screams to me interesting or cool or unique or fun. It's just there. And that's the worst thing anything can be. It's just there. You know? If I'm going to rank it using the old SABCD Matzo system, we're gonna just give it a fucking D, because for me it's just, the gameplay is okay, but basically everything else is just so milquetoast that it's not worth your time. Just play anything else, any other fighting game, even ones that were released a little later on, are probably going to be better than this. Next game on the docket is going to be Mass Effect Andromeda. Yeah. To be honest, for as much as people gave this game shit and really were like, oh, this game is the worst, it killed BioWare and all that, I honestly enjoy it. I honestly really enjoy this game, and I know that's going to be like, I'm sorry, what kind of new age crack are you smoking, and where can I get some, because how in the actual fuck are you having that opinion? For me, genuinely speaking, I thought that Mass Effect 1, 2, and 3 were great games, but I always felt that I genuinely never thought they were that good. I thought they were just okay. And for me, I played it starting from 2. I played 2 and a little bit of 3, and I thought, these are good games, but I never got the appeal. I never got the whole interest of it. And then I played Andromeda, and it kind of clicked. I don't know, that's bizarre to say. That's very bizarre to say, especially now, because it's like, how is it that you enjoy Andromeda, but you didn't like the other ones, the earlier ones? And it's like, I'm not even remotely sure, to be honest. I'm not sure why, but I just really enjoy the way that the combat works, and some of the story aspects I kind of enjoy, just going from planet to planet and just trying to solve little problems and all that. I don't know, I like it. I like just the way that this game works in a general sense. It's not a fantastic game generally, and I would say it's kind of soupy. Not totally soupy. It's just in the way that the overall conversations kind of go, and just the way that the game kind of feels. It's a little soupy, but it's not too soupy. You know what I mean? But I enjoy it. I'm not going to give it a high ranking. I'll probably give it like a C. I'll give it a C. It's nothing great. It's nothing like it's not the best, but I enjoy it. All right, next game on the docket. Fallout 4. There's a lot of stuff to say about it, but I'll keep it quick. Gameplay's good, story's good. Well, story's okay. Story's mostly okay. Music choice is kind of just bleh. I usually just play it with fucking a radio on or something, or like one of those like little, if it's a mod, the 80s mod, which I think hopefully that's still online, I'm not sure, or just using Spotify, because that just improves the game tenfold. Same thing can be said with our next two games, but whatever. Gameplay's pretty good. I don't like the fact that they removed the stuff with the perk system, and generally speaking, there's a lot of shit that just kind of feels unnecessary towards the game itself, like crafting, or not the crafting, but the building system, where you can just build houses for people. It's like, yeah, it's okay, but whatever. It's like not really a necessary feature that they should have put in a Fallout game, but whatever. If I was to rank it something, I would give it a high B, Alright, next game is going to be Fallout 76. Online version of it, basically Fallout 4, has a lot of problems because it feels very predatory towards what you can and can't do. The card system feels very stupid, and the perk system feels very... Well, the card system is the perk system, whatever. It feels very, stupid. I kind of wish that the cards felt a little bit more powerful, or at least took you a little bit longer to attain, so that way when you got them, they actually felt a little bit more powerful rather than how they do now. It's like, oh yeah, here's something that gives you 15% bonus on weight. It's like, oh, okay, whatever. There's nothing in Fallout 76 that makes you go like, holy crap. And even when it is, it's only a temporary thing, since the way the game works and all that. It's relatively fun if you have friends. If not, it's just going to be a very boring game. And especially with it is now, if you have Game Pass, you can just get it for free, or whatever. Overall, I would probably just give it a D. It's not worth your time if you're not a hardcore Fallout fan, or if you're not into online shooters. Then I would just avoid it, or just play something like the game that I'm going to be talking about next, which is Borderlands 3. Borderlands 3, what am I going to say about it? Simplest thing I can say is the story is average, nothing special. I would say it's probably my least favorite story in terms of Borderlands games, aside from maybe the simplicity of 1, but 1 is 1, so you kind of have to... Whatever, 1 is acceptable for a story because that's just the first game in the series. 2 basically, beats every story out there in the Borderlands games, aside from maybe the pre-sequel. I would say the pre-sequel really does a good job with its story, but 3 mostly, it could have just had the subtitle like fucking the Song of the Sirens or some shit or like that, and just it would have made a lot more sense, because half if not the entire game is just about sirens. And for me, it's like, cool, whatever. But it's just, if you're not interested in that and you just wanted to see what, the whole thing is, it's just the new enemies, like the COV, like the Cult of the Vault or whatever, it's like, okay, whatever, it's okay. Their weapons are kind of cool, but I don't like the fact that they overheat. The Vault Hunters in this one are cool, I guess. I mean, they get multiple abilities, which is kind of neat. And the gameplay the gameplay has been improved. I'll give it that. Gameplay has been improved. The music is just kind of forgettable. So once again, like I said with 76 and 4, you just put on Spotify, and then the game just becomes 100 times better. It's an overall good game. Play it with co-op partners. Makes the game a little bit better. But if we're just talking pure vanilla, nobody's around, you're playing it alone, I'm still going to have to give it an A, because it's still a pretty fun game, even without DLC. With DLC, I might be tempted on putting it towards, not S, because S is a very specific thing, but I'm probably going to put it up there. It's probably going to be one of the more higher tier games that I've talked about. Alright, and the last game that on the docket, Forza Motorsport 6. Alright. Car selection's pretty low in compared to 4, even though I know there are more cars, but a lot of them are behind DLC. Racetracks are pretty okay, if not a little meh. Personally, I kind of liked what they did with, once again, Forza 4, 3, and even some of the other previous earlier games in the series. This one feels very lazy. It feels like they just wanted to just slap out a Forza game for the Xbox One. I know that there's 5 and all that. I know that 5 exists for the Xbox One and all that. But, in my opinion, I would say that the Forzas for the Xbox One are much worse compared to their earlier counterparts. So if you're going to play a Forza game, and if you have an Xbox 360, just stick with the 360 ones over the later ones, because right now you might as well just play the, the Horizon games, honestly. They're much better in terms of racing games at this point, because Forza 6 just feels lazy. It feels like they removed a lot of features that made the previous games real fun. And generally, I'm just kind of like, it's a fine enough racing game. They took a lot of the mechanics I liked, like the customization thing from the previous Forza games, and they kept it in 6. And some of the racetracks are pretty nice. I'll give the fact that some racetracks have nice things going on in the background and above you and all that, like helicopters flying like that, or fireworks going off, or lightning, or little things like that. I think those are pretty cool. But generally speaking, it's just an okay game. There's nothing I can say about it aside from, if you like racing games and you see this game for cheap, maybe like $3, $4, nothing past 10. Nothing past $10, I would recommend it, because otherwise it's not a great racing game. Like, if I'm talking like best racing games ever made, this ain't cutting it. This is definitely not gonna cut the mustard. But for Xbox One, it might be up there, and that's kind of a sad thing. It's a damn shame. Yeah. If I was to grade it, if I was to give it the ranking, I'm probably gonna give it probably a C tier. See, no, that's merciful. That feels too nice for a game like this. That feels like it removed so much features from the previous Forza games. I'm gonna give it a D. I'm gonna give it a firm D, because it's not the best, honestly. Like, I feel like Forza could have done so much more to improve itself, or just make it a much better game overall. But they just fucking dropped the ball. Anyway, YouTube, see ya.